All right, welcome. This is 180 milliseconds too late, the SSA Rocket League podcast, and it has been a very busy.
If y'all don't follow Graybeard, you need to get in there.
It has been a very, very busy couple of weeks. As you all know, we've just wrapped up a very exciting weekend of Rocket League, our first regional or qualifiers, major one qualifier as they're calling it now, which is confusing everything.
Graybeard, you need to get in there.
I see that's going to be interesting. Thanks for the follow, guys. So we have the Limitless team here. And I got them in early and first. There's lots of news to talk about, but we'll do that at the end. But I wanted to get Limitless in first because, of course, they need to go off and scrim with the qualifier number 2 getting underway this one. Okay, I'm gonna need to mute that. Without further ado, let's get into it. We have Snowyy, To Die For, and Sweaty, and Snowyy is now, by my calculations, a 15-time regional champion. To Die For, a 12-time regional champion, and for the first time, a debut regional champion in Sweaty. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Okay, cool. So, Sweaty, I think I'm going to come to you first, since you have won your first regional, came close a couple of times. You've been to Worlds, you've had great success, but your first regional win, and so congrats on that.
Thank you. It feels good.
And who would you say is most responsible for helping you get there out of the two teammates and your coach?
I think I'm gonna give this one to Noxus. You know, I think Noxus deserves it. Noxus has been a good coach. He's shaped the way we play, the way we take on other teams in our game style. So I'm gonna give it to Noxus.
Okay, Nox gets all the credit. Okay, well done.
Yeah.
But Sweaty, very well done, and absolutely deserved.
Thank you.
So it's been a weird time for Rocket League in general, for the esport in particular, and then and very especially for SSA. A lot has happened, a lot is going on. So To Die For, I'm going to ask you this question. In terms of preparation, was your team preparation any different leading up to this regional as opposed to past regionals?
I don't think it was much different. We just scrum as much as we can, whenever we can, and I guess we maybe came with a different approach. That's basically it. Otherwise, it's basically same amount of scrims and everything. We still trying to win it all.
And what was that when you say a different approach? What was
that is
different about?
Information.
Nice.
Okay, well said. Fair enough. And then Snowyy, how much time goes into the prep? Obviously, you're scrimming as much as possible. There's a lot of time that goes in there. But outside of the game, leading up to that first regional, how much time are you and the rest of the team spending prepping?
I think it's hard to say exactly how much time, outside of just purely playing and practicing. I think every day we do 2 hours of scrims, sometimes 3, some days less, and then obviously we play on our own or with each other outside of scrims. That's also a couple of hours every day. But outside of that, it's just discussing certain things between ourselves and with our coach Noxes and doing replays. So it's basically just a couple of hours a day. It's but mainly it's playing, not too many hours outside of actually just grinding and improving at the game.
And and a question I've always had, and Sweaty, I'll come to you with this one, is, I mean, we love to highlight, and I say we, I mean like casters and people watching the game. You look at passing plays, and are there, a regular soccer or football team is kind of on the pitch and they're practicing set plays, they're practicing the various elements. So is there much discussion and practice of those specific kind of things?
I think we definitely do have our almost set positions. I wouldn't say we have set positions, but we know we know where each other's going to be on the field pretty much all the time, and that comes with comms a lot as well.
Yeah.
So that helps us. Like, I wouldn't say we have set like positions or like set pieces is a good
Okay.
word to use,
Yeah.
but we always like comming and helping each other know where we are on the field. Like, if I need to lay this ball off to David or Snowyy, then I can do it. Otherwise, I can just go by myself. Stuff like that.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then, and I don't know if this falls under To Die For's NDA that he expressed at the start here, but obviously there is a different element, and it's the big ass elephant in the room, which is having non-SSA teams here, EU players, MENA players. North American players for why they're here, I have no idea. So obviously there is the element of high ping, and Snowy, you will have the most experience because you've been playing EU. You've been playing 180, 190 or whatever ping for 5, 6, 7 years, and you've gotten to the very top of things in ones, in twos, and threes, playing that high ping. So how much of a conversation or how much of your prep work is when facing such teams, the play is altered? Is there an altering of play given that circumstance? Snowy, I'm asking you.
Ako on you, sorry.
He muted himself. Okay. It wasn't me for a change.
Yes, yes, yes. There isn't much altering. There is a small amount, but I think the reality is if you're playing against people who are playing on that ping, if you just play good, you know, if you play as good as you would against a team that was playing on low ping, you're just gonna beat them, plain and simple. They are like I said, there is some altering. There are some small things which, you know, certain play styles and certain things you can do which make it harder for players who are playing on 200 ping. And I've said before, you know, we're the most experienced on that ping. You know, we've been dealing with it for more than any other Rocket League player and longer than any other Rocket League player. So we know like what they're seeing. You know,
Right.
based on what we're doing. So there's small things like that, but in general, it's still the same approach. It's just like, you know, we just need to play good. We need to do everything else we practice to the best of our ability, and we will win regardless.
Okay, and Weddy, I'm going to ask you this: your thoughts on? I mean, look, it was fantastic. What you guys did was incredible. I mean, that grand final was fantastic. A 4-0 sweep. It was an emphatic win. It was very much a statement win, and there were some successes by SSA teams here and there in the rest of the tournament with regard to playing the non-SSA people. WRG taking down Young Money Clan early on, and so on. But overall, what is your feeling of how particularly our top SSA teams did against the EU teams?
I think they did. A few of them did a bit worse than most of us expected. I'm not going to point them out, but those teams, they're not getting beat. They kind of lost the game. Like, we know they can win so easily, and they know they can win so easily. It's just a matter of putting all the puzzle pieces together and putting it on the field. And I'm sure they'll do it this qualifier round. Maybe his first qualifier nerves, but I have faith in everyone else in this region. We know how good everyone else is. They just need to do it now.
And then Snowy, I'm going to come to you pretty much with the same question in terms of, I mean, were you surprised at the teams that did succumb to some of these teams, or do you feel they should have done better? Your thoughts around all of that?
I was surprised, definitely. I thought, with everything that had gone on, I thought, and also the fact that a lot of the teams they're playing are playing on 200 ping, I thought they would have done better. But I mean, like Sweaty mentioned, there is that thing of like this was the first time something like this has ever happened. So there may have been a lot of unexpected scenarios for those teams and a bit of like sort of first time nerves. But I also have faith in them. I think I think going forward, the results will start to improve, and it started off really well. I mean, we saw WRG beat the supposedly best import team. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is looking good. Hopefully all the other matchups are sort of going to head in this direction. But that it didn't turn out that way. But yeah, I think in future, I think the SA teams will step up their game and sort of like do their part to defend our region.
All right, and then to die for, do you how much of a factor do you think it was? How much of a factor do you think nerves were for teams like Bonjour, who should have probably done better in their quarters? What do you think, it was a nerves thing, or your thoughts there?
Yeah, so initially I like thought the EU teams would be like quite good and they'd give us a good run for our money. But then like after seeing the results and like playing against them, I genuinely expected like many of the SSA teams to beat them. So I think it was quite poor from them, if I'm going to be honest, because I think they genuinely should have beat them. I think it just came down to like the execution, like actually when it came into the game. Like I do think nerves was played a big part, and I guess they fumbled under pressure and just lost. Because I genuinely think they should have beat them like many teams, not just like top 2, maybe like top 4 even. Usually necessary.
All right, cool. Well, let's turn our attention now to sort of, I guess, sort of more controversial territory. And Snowyy, I'll start with you. I mean, it's well known that you've chosen not to scrim any non-SSA teams, and I just wanted to know if that decision strategic, or is it moral, or is it a combination of both, or what's the story there?
Well, I think that was the initial idea, that we sort of just keep our scrimming to local teams. But we have scrimmed some import teams. I think we sort of decided there's 4 of us in this team, obviously 3 players and the coach. We sort of just decided we should at least do 1 or 2 scrims against whatever teams, because we take winning very seriously, and I think it's just important to just get an idea of the landscape of our of the teams we're playing and our opponents and how they do things, because we need to be the best prepared that we can possibly be when we're going into these events. With that being said, though, there are some teams that we chose not to scrim, and I think that was just purely as a result of sort of factors outside of just playing.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, we won't delve too deeply into that. And my follow-up question from there suddenly escaped me, but so what has been to die for? What has been your sense of the team scrimming so far? I mean, you mentioned when I was talking about the question on the other SSA teams, your thought on the general level of it, and I'm not trying to make it into a critical thing or anything like that, but more your honest assessment of the teams you've scrimmed, where they might be in terms of the rest of the SSA field.
I mean, it's a difficult question because scrims is like completely different to actual game day. So like, say for instance, a team could beat us scrims because we try new things, so it's like sometimes completely irrelevant, and then game day we could just destroy them. But I'll just keep speaking on that SSA import thing. So basically, I know obviously everyone has different opinion, but like I think that it's genuinely good for our region. But the thing is, I just don't think they're doing it for the right reasons. So that's why like I know Snowyy's initial decision to like not scrimming the import team. I'm like sitting in between because I don't mind, because obviously scrimming them would obviously improve us and help us come better. But like obviously I don't think their moral reasons are right. So yeah.
Okay, well, listen, I'm glad you raised that, because Snowyy and I have had conversations. Since this all became a thing, I've probably, my thoughts, feelings, and opinions have evolved almost every day. I've sort of gone one way, then the other, then so I think my final, where I land finally, I'm still to arrive there, and I think Snowyy and I are on pretty sort of close to opposite ends of our opinions on what it means for the region. And I think the truth is that it's probably going to land up being somewhere in the middle of our relatively extreme views. But Sweaty, before I get to ask Snowy the question, your general thoughts on all of this in terms of the impact on the region, sort of more mid to long term.
I think for now I think it's shown positive impact for now, like at the start, with obviously the overall change with more teams getting more prize money. It's brought in new competition, like within South Africa as well, but then also obviously it brought overseas competition, which I think is good for our region. Like David said, helps us play new play styles. I think we've seen it improve a few of the teams, I think, but like David said, I think they don't really, like, they're just trying to take our money. They don't care. I think it's harsh to say, but they're not, like David said, they're not here for the right reasons.
Okay.
I think so. We still yet to see, like, they can still help us out in other ways. I don't know.
I'm gonna ask you right back, Sweaty. So you say they're not here for the right reasons. What are the right reasons to be here?
The right reasons are to help the region improve, which they have been doing a bit, to like when they've been scrimming teams that have asked them, like that's very good, I think. And they've been in 6-mans, like rank X I know of that they do, which also helps improve. But then they also, like, when they first came, it's like, I don't know, they came across a bit cocky, like not really respecting, like we've never really like had a full-on conversation with them completely, but I don't know, they just came across a bit cocky when first spoke to them, but that could change. Like, first impression doesn't mean everything.
Okay.
But I guess we'll see.
All right.
I think
Go
it's
ahead.
important to say is that I don't think there is a right reason. There'll never be a right reason, because, you know, at the end of the day, we are competitors. You know, we're competing, you know, to win and do better than each other. And there's no scenario where you're going to come and help your competitors because you're just detrimenting yourself. So I don't think there's any right reason. If you are going to compete wherever, regardless of the situation, you're doing it, you know, for yourself and for your team.
Okay. And that's fair enough. So let me ask that question in another way. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And Snowy, I'll ask it to you. The teams that have chosen to play in this region, should they be involved? Should they be in 6-man? Should they be connected? Should they be looking to integrate more with the SSA region, or just practice at home and come and try and smash in the regionals? I'm trying to get your take on whether it's a good thing that they are immersed in what we're doing.
Well, obviously integrating more is better, because that's where any kind of semblance of improvement or benefit to us comes from. However, with that being said, and I was going to mention this just now when we were speaking about, you know, scrimming these teams, is they're playing with 200 ping,
Yes.
and that differs the benefit that you get from playing against people who are on 200 ping, because they're not playing exactly as they would if they were on low ping. You know, so like if we go to EU and we boot camp there, you know, we're scrimming in that sort of EU, you know, ecosystem, and that's what really improves you. That's what, you know, we're taking benefit from being there and playing their current meta at, you know, at all certain levels. So when you take a team, you just pluck them out of that, and then you play against them when they have 200 ping, they're not playing the same. The meta is different, so the benefit that you're receiving is not the same. I don't think it's anywhere near as good, to be honest. And while obviously there is some benefit, especially for like you know, lower ranked SA teams, I don't think it's worthwhile, to be honest.
And then to die for your thoughts on what I was quite disappointed with in the second regional starting this weekend. I thought there would be a lot more mixed teams where, you know, there's one or two SSA players and one or two EU players. And it turned out there was just one of those. So, and thinking about it more, I realize it's because the sort of level of the the higher ranked players from EU who want to come and play here on, all the high level players here are already on teams and not going to team with them, so then they'd have to find lower players. So maybe that's got something to do with it. But your thoughts on mixed teams?
Yo. So I think mixed teams could be good. Obviously, could involve both regions and different like play styles, and both. I think people could learn a lot from that. But then again, I think it's like very unlikely to happen because obviously it's like a barrier, but like not an actual barrier, but like separating our communities. And I think a lot of people are just gonna try team with people they know and people they feel more comfortable with. Yeah.
Okay. And so what is the ultimate solution? I mean, Snowyy, in theory, we could just say, if we get, is there a point where the local scene, and when I say the local scene, like the top 16, top 20 teams, are good enough that the ping disadvantage is just too much? It just becomes not worthwhile to play on that ping. I mean, is that what we should be striving for? Assuming this rule doesn't change, and I'm convinced it won't, I think it's here to stay. How do we sort of batten down the hatches? How do we make sure we own our own region?
Yeah, I mean, assuming the rule stays how it is, that's the ultimate solution. That we just improve as a region as a whole. So where we get to the point where teams playing with that ping, they're not going to have any success. If we have a tournament where those teams sign up, but the top 16 SA teams are just so good that they don't even make, I mean, I know prize pool is now top 32, but they don't even make top 16. It's not going to be worth their while. Obviously there'll be some lower ranked teams that might play anyways, but the actual, good teams that come, the actual good import teams, it wouldn't be worth their time, to bother playing in our region. So that's, if the rule stays as it is, that's the ultimate solution, and that's pretty much, that's on us, that's on all the players locally to practice as hard as they can, improve our threes meta and our threes level.
Okay.
But obviously, if we don't assume the rule stays the same, then the best solution is just the region lock.
Okay. Yeah, well, I guess that would be good. But let me ask. Let me just put out there that if there's questions from chat that want to be asked, you can put them in chat, and I will ask them. Keep in mind I'm going to ask thoughtful, thought out questions, not just yeah, you know what I mean. Keep it tidy, ask good questions, and I'll ask the team that. But I'm gonna go around. I'll start with you, Sweaty. I want to know, because clearly there's an approach to this game that Limitless has, that other teams come close to. And I mentioned Mongolia, Bonjour. They're certainly sort of second, third teams there in SSA. But what is that? What is the? I guess what does Limitless have that the other teams are struggling to emulate?
I think if I would answer this question like exactly on the point, it wouldn't be very helpful to us, because then everyone would kind of know what to do to beat us. But I think for us, it's better left unknown.
Okay.
To the rest of the community, but there's definitely, I wouldn't say it's major adjustments from other teams, but it's more smaller, minor adjustments that just need to be refined out. And then they thought, I know we get like 4-2, but it doesn't really represent how the games go. But yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
No, I do know what you mean. And
Yeah.
then to Dive, I'll ask you, away from the technical side, is there a way you guys approach it in terms of how you're thinking about winning? And I don't know if it's a discipline thing, a focus thing, outside of the technicalities of the game, is there something you feel Limitless has that others don't, or that others are struggling with?
I mean, it's a very difficult question because I don't really know the situation like non-technically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the situation of others, but like if I had to say what gives us edge, firstly, I think us three are the three best individual players in the country or region.
Mm-hmm.
So that obviously helps us a lot. And then I just think like all of us are like very good friends. We're not just teammates. So I think we have nice team bonding and chemistry.
Okay. And then Snowy, your thoughts on all of this? What do you think Limitless does that's different? Is it just the fact that you are like the top 3 best players, or is there something? Is there a secret sauce in the cake?
That's what he said. I think when it comes down to like finer details, it's best left
Sure.
unknown. But if I had to say something outside of that, it's probably just motivation and desire to win.
Mm.
I think a lot of people lack that, you know. And over the many years that I've been playing and competing locally, I see so many players who are really good players. Like, you know, they've got a lot of talent, they got good work ethic, but there's just sort of something else that's missing. They just don't have that thing, that drive to really, you know, step up and win when the opportunity presents itself.
Okay. And so if you were to okay, well, let me ask you a very light and fluffy question, and then I'm going to come back to something a bit more meaty. This is a question, I think it was from Yakal's other chat, is, are you guys going to rock your decals in game, or is there a placebo issue with changing your decals?
David, you wanna? Snowy's actually big on placebo. Maybe we should
What do
let
you mean?
Snowy have the question.
David literally changes his car every game just to change
I
the
do,
design.
but like we all know there's gonna be some placebo. Yeah.
Snowy's the biggest placebo
Okay,
man.
I think obviously placebo is a thing.
Yeah.
Like might not be like an actual thing. Is might just be in the head, but like I do like an occasional car change sometimes. So I think I will use decal. But like, you know, maybe if I'm not having a good day, I'll try something new. So I can't guarantee I will always use it, but like I will definitely try and use it as much as I can. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
okay,
like
We're definitely going to use it, that's for sure.
Yes.
yeah,
But you know, the way your car looks and the way it makes you feel when you're playing, specifically in Rock League, I think it's very important. It affects your performance a bit. But it seems ridiculous to say that, but it does. So we'll use our decal as much as possible. But you know, if you're not feeling it in one game or one day, then you're likely to see us in just a normal car design or whatever we're feeling good in on that day.
okay.
yeah.
Sweaty, did you want to add anything?
Kind of. Yeah. You can, about the placebo thing. You can also, it's not like just nonsense. You can see with like the pro NA and EU teams, all those big orgs have decals, and I'm sure like they would like to use those decals a lot more than they can. But clearly we see all of them use just their own car designs a lot of the time, and they do use their team's decals. But the placebo definitely is a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So it
Well,
is hard.
there you go, Yuckles. Maybe is the answer. All right. So as we come into the end of this conversation here, what is the message to the other SSA teams? And when I say the other SSA teams, there's categories. I'm talking about the number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 SSA teams, and then the top 12, and then everybody else, in terms of how we approach this, because in my mind there has to be a certain deal here. And the deal is, if you're playing a non-SSA team, you got to figure out how to beat them. And sure, you're going to have disparities at times where, you know, you're a champ 2, champ 3 team, and you're playing, you know, a bunch of GC2s, GC3s. Even with the ping, that's going to be very hard. But that's the contract here, is we in SSA have got to figure out, we have to do what's necessary to beat the teams that are coming here. So to go around the world, starting with you, to die for your message to everybody, the SSA teams, about that.
To like the top teams, like I'd say in the region of like top 4, like Bonjour, Mongolia, and them. I think you guys definitely have the skill to beat them. I just think you guys need to stay motivated and like try and focus, concentrate as well as you can, because you guys, I think, definitely can beat them. So just need to lock in, and I believe in you guys. And then to like the rest of the region, but lower down in the rankings. Uh, I think you guys should also stay motivated. Obviously, the EU people coming in may have screwed you over, but there'll always be an opportunity to shine. So you just have to keep grinding, and you'll get there eventually.
All right, Sweaty.
Yeah, I'd say just quick and simple to all the teams that may have felt disappointed or discouraged by the results this past weekend. Especially losing to the EU teams and wherever else they're from. I would just take it as motivation. Like, just want to beat these guys even more now. They took our money. They're taking away our spots. Just, let's beat them even more. I don't know.
Well, simply said, Sweaty, and then Snowy.
Yeah, I'd pretty much just say the same thing that David and Sweaty said. I think if you look at just this first event, the proof is there. That you guys can beat them. Like the next the sort of top four, like what David said, Mongolia, Bonjour, Double Agents, those kind of teams. You guys all had. I think there was quite a few game fives actually. And when a series is going to game five, it's not really about who played better. It's just small details. But yeah, you guys are 100% good enough, and I think if you just grind a bit harder, lock in more, you'll find that these series start coming to you easily. And when it comes to everybody else, I think it's very important that you guys keep grinding and working like super hard, because ultimately, all the players who aren't at the top at the moment, they're the future of our region, and it's very important that you guys improve a lot and you really sort of step up to where the top teams are now, and even further that level, so that in future you guys are so good that you just sort of repel all of these invaders and imports. You just get rid of them because you're too good, and you ensure the most important thing, which we've yet to discuss, is that an actual local SSA team is represented on the world stage and at any international competitions, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. If a non-local team is in that SSA spot, I think that would just be a travesty. It would be really bad. So it's on us at the moment, but it's on everybody else for the future to make sure that stays a thing.
All right. Well, there you go. Regional champions Limitless, who are certainly holding up their end of the bargain, taking down regional number one. The second of those gets underway this weekend with a very chaotic 94 team double bracket, all happening on Sunday, and then moving to the main event next Friday. So I hope we see lots. Well, I guess my last question, because I just noticed on the thing, so there's an Italian team. Well, they were an Italian team, Straskibidi, and they were disqualified because they had two racists on their team, and they've come back. Why they've kept the name, I don't know, but it's one Italian jelly, and then Glifty, who's very involved, I think he's English, who got booted from the team streams. He's now joined the team. I don't know if you've had a look at that and your feelings about that, David. I mean, sorry, and the reason I'm asking you is that they, if they win their first round match, they'll be facing you, and you'll be meeting them.
So you're asking what I think of the Italians?
I don't know if you've looked at that team, if you know who they are, if you have any thoughts about them in particular, or not.
I mean, heard some very concerning things about them, and they come out to say the things they've said. So and apparently they've changed, but like from proof that I've seen over the internet and like some of my encounters, I don't think they've changed. So I'm not too scared of them as a team, but like I don't think they should be given a spot after what I've seen, because
fair enough. All right, fine. Well, I'm not going to go around the world in that question. I think we'll wrap it up there. And despite the high emotions, I do know the region is fully behind you, Limitless, and may you have continued success. May it go into this weekend and next weekend. So, Snowy to die for, Sweaty, thanks for coming to hang out. Good luck in your scrims. I know you're going from here to another scrim, and looking forward to seeing you over the weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having us.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Peace.
Cheers.
Alrighty, so there we have it. Limitless doing the work, and lots more work ahead of them. All right, so we're gonna go into other news now. I will say that so the numbers look like this. There were 105 teams that signed up for regional number 2. That was one more team than in the first qualifier. However, after verification, that number went from 105 to 94. So 11 teams did not make the final verification. And that included 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, I think 6. Yes, that included 6 EU teams that were not allowed to be verified because there were players violating region lock who had played in another region and were now trying to come and play in SSA. So that's kind of funny. So they were barred from doing that. So the final numbers look like this: 94 teams in total. 29 of that 94 are EU, 3 are North American, 2 are MENA, and there is 1 mixed team. 59 SSA teams, and that's probably the most disappointing number. The SSA team signups were about 22% down from the first qualifier. EU teams about 20% higher than in the first. In fact, a little bit more, closer to around 30%. And what that all means is that the non-SSA contingent playing SSA Rocket League is 37% of the entire field. So SSA, we got ourselves a lot of work to do. And I hope we all get out there and get the work done. Other news is RSC, the Rocket Soccer Confederation, Africa's biggest community esport league, has just gotten bigger. Signups for that close on Tuesday. And just a reminder, RSC is a tiered league, which there are 4 tiers. So everything from sort of high diamond all the way up to GC3 SSL can player, and it's broken down into 4 tiers. So if you sign up, you will play with people relatively close to your rank. And there are no pre-made teams. Every player signs up as an individual, and they will be drafted by one of 10 franchises. In RSC Season 2, there are 10 franchises. 5 of them are EU, 5 of them are SSA, and we're very excited about the EU teams because they've been running this league for seasons and seasons in EU, and they bring their experience to us in terms of running league teams and so on. And as of the start of this podcast, at about 10 to 8, the number of signups for the RSC was 220. 220 players have signed up for this league. That is 20% higher, 10% higher than Season 1. And there are still Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days left to sign up. So get in there. And then on Wednesday, so Valentine's Day, 14th of February, Wednesday night, will be the draft lottery, and we're going to do it we're going to play marbles, where we determine the order of picks, which franchise gets to pick first through to 10th in each of those 4 tiers. And then the following Wednesday is when the teams are going to get picked. The players are going to be drafted into the various franchises. So that's how that's all working. And then the other news about this weekend is that because there are less than 96 teams, there is no need for 2 days of qualifying play. It's all going to happen on one day. On Sunday, starting at 5 o'clock, one huge, big-ass double elimination bracket is going to be played. And what that translates to is if you win 4 series, you make it through to the Swiss stage. If you lose in the upper bracket, you then have to win. If you lose in the first round, you then have to win 5 series in the losers bracket to make it through to Swiss. So it is going to be a long day. I think rounds 1 and 2 are best of 3. Then it becomes, from the top 64, it becomes best of 5. The job here, SSA teams, go out there and do the business. Just play the best Rocket League you can. You have an entire region behind you. I'm certainly behind every single one of you. Go out there and make it good. Yeah, and above all, have fun. And we will. I do strongly believe we are going to emerge from this far stronger than we have ever been. And not just from this region. We have massive amount of support from other regions, from big names in this game, Europeans, North Americans, and others. So yeah, we're all very, very pumped and ready to go. And I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up. Unless there's someone in chat who's got a specific question they want to take up, I think we can wrap this up. Is this Dazrin? I have one. Do we know how scrims are working within the region? Are SSA teams scrimming other SSA teams only? Dazrin, the answer to that question is kind of mixed. There are a lot of integrated scrims now happening. Even Limitless are now scrimming EU teams as well. There are some they won't scrim, but by and large, we're seeing a lot more of it. And I'm certainly going to be encouraging that, because as much as some EU teams have done very well with in trying to integrate, joining six-mans, wanting to scrim, that pretty much covers about a third of all the EU teams that have signed up. There are approximately 70 individual players representing around 20 teams there or thereabout that are not involved. They're not scrimming, they're not in six-mans, and I'll be getting in touch directly, personally, with each of those, encouraging them to do a lot more of that. So there you go, Dazrin. I hope that answers your question. But I do think as this goes on, we're going to see more and more integration. We're going to see more and more scrims. Just out of necessity, because I do think if you're not scrimming and you refuse to, there is a danger of not improving yourselves and giving the chance to improve to other teams who may not be better than you now, but with that experience might close the gap between themselves and you. Improvement of the region is the most important thing. Absolutely. And I have a very strong approach. Look, when I first heard of it, I was ready to give up the whole thing. I was going to be like, okay, this 4 years of Rocket League stuff has been fun. I'm out of here. But I've come to realize there are opportunities here. There are massive opportunities here. And if we choose to look for the opportunities, I think we see massive improvement. We find ways to accelerate our improvement, even more so than just one team going to majors or worlds sort of 2-3 times a year. I think having a lot of people here is gonna help us escalate a lot more. But yeah, I'll see you on Saturday for an EU watch party, and then Sunday for all the chaos and action in SSA. But until then, guys, peace!